what's up, America and the rest of the world? It is the Ace Micheals Show. On the brink of a war, are we? I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. You never know with our governments, you know? It's like we live in a world where other people get to decide what we're about to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to accept that by now. If you haven't already learned the way the system works is, we don't have any control over what we're going to do, where we're going to live, what we're going to eat. It's all dictated to us. So right now, yeah, we're on the brink of what could be a world war. I don't know what number we're at, World War 28, but I hope it doesn't happen. It would be a terrible thing to have a life where I could say, yeah, I lived through this war, and then the pandemic, and then the 9/11, and then the this, and then the this. That would be terrible, terrible. But that may be the reality. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that. If you'd love to email me, you can email the show. You can always do that. You can always send a message to my, as the kids say, DM. You can DM because, you know, direct message is way too many syllables for young, hip people to say. So you can DM me anytime you want. And that's what's up. Today, my guest is EVA. EVA's on the show because, let me tell you why. Let me break it down to you guys. Number one, she's on the show because she's dope. She's an amazing guitar player and musician who works all over the world with all sorts of big name celebrities. She's going to tell us about that. But then the other reason she's on the show is because her pronoun is she, and this is International Women's Month. So we're trying to promote our international women, and no one would be more international and woman than Eva. Eva, welcome to the show today.
Yes, thank you.
First time on the Ace Micheals Show, ladies and gentlemen. First time. So, Eva, I didn't even challenge your last name. Now, I want to try it now that you can correct me without me sounding like too much of a dope. Nope, you better say it.
EVA KARCZEWSKA.
Oh, see, I was going to be so wrong. I was going to say.
You said it good.
I did when you were right in front of me. But then when I was going to say it, I was going to mangle it so bad. What I had in my head, I can't even say it out loud. It was so terrible what I was about to call you. Say it one more time for me.
EVA KARCZEWSKA.
KARCZEWSKA.
That's it.
You do a kind of R thing like that?
I do a little roll in there.
That's a short one. KARCZEWSKA. And where are you from, darling?
I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan.
Where's KARCZEWSKA from?
That's my family background. From Poland.
From Poland.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
But
It's
you're
Polish.
from Detroit.
I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Polish by way of Detroit.
That's
you gotta
right.
love it. And,
That's right.
And is that where you learned to shred on the guitar?
That's right. Detroit Rock City, baby.
Detroit seems like where everybody would be shredding.
Oh,
Man.
yeah.
Like, what else you gonna do in Detroit?
Well, it's cold.
Yeah, you're
dreary.
You're gonna build a car, or you gonna shred on your guitar?
That's right.
Nuts.
Detroit Rock City. It's
wow.
a great city, though. It's a great city to grow up. I mean, you know, that's why I play guitar.
And you have a little bit, that's so weird because you have this Polish name, but you do have a little bit of that Midwestern accent. Did you know that?
No, I've heard it before. People have
Can you hear that in your voice?
No.
That's interesting.
Because I'm from there, so no, I can't.
Wow. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh.
And people tell me that, not so much now because I've lived on the West Coast for a long time, but people do say, they go, oh, you have an accent. And I'm like, well, no, Kansas City does not have an accent. We are world champions, though. I will say that. Football, thank you very much. 3 times world champions. Too soon? Too soon? Anyway. Not trying to rub that in. I'm just saying it's a fact that we are world champions 3 times. 3 times now in the last 10 years, I think.
Well, congrats.
Anyway, but it's not about me. It's not about the Chiefs world champions. It's about you, Eva. So International Women's Month is happening. So you as a woman, how does that make you feel? Like, I'll never be a woman, so I don't know, like, what am I supposed to feel about it? But how do you feel about International Women's Month?
I think it's great. We need to celebrate women and how far we've come and all the courageous women breaking the ceiling. It's amazing. And I think we need to celebrate it. It's awesome.
Women have come a hell of a long way.
Oh, yeah.
That is true. That is like a true statement right there. Because women, like, they wouldn't let women vote.
Right.
Like, how can you just be like, well, no. All y'all with ovaries, no voting for you. Nope. Sorry. That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
To just women couldn't vote. Women still probably don't make as much as men on most jobs. I think
probably
most jobs.
Yeah.
I think now as a musician,
it's much better now though for women musician. It's much better. I mean, growing up, there weren't as many women idols to look up to.
True.
You know, I picked up the guitar because my brother got a guitar, but it's not that my dad or family bought me a guitar. I picked it up because it was in the house.
But did anyone ever say to you, I'm sure somebody did at one point, did anyone ever say to you, you can't be a guitar player professionally because you're a woman?
Well, kind of my family.
They always are the ones.
Yeah,
Family's
like,
the worst. Like,
yeah,
if anybody ever,
they did, but they didn't stop me either. They let me be who I was, and I just loved music ever since I was a child. I loved music, and the only instrument we had in the house was the guitar, and that's how I started playing it, and I loved it.
And what about your private relationships? Like, did you ever have some guy who was, because guys be intimidated, guys get intimidated by a lot of stuff women do. Like little things women do that are like success-driven things, like really upset guys. Have you ever noticed that? Like some guys were like,
True.
"What do you mean you're gonna let your hair grow out?" And then they just have a problem about this little thing that really isn't a big deal, but they do. They go ballistic about little things. So I would imagine you being a rock guitar player, and then they worry that, oh, you're gonna go and do these gigs, and because you're freaking good. Like, you're not like just in the background. You're killing it on guitar. You know what I mean?
I love it.
And you're working. You're a professional
passion.
working guitar player in Las Vegas.
Love it. Oh my God, I love this city. I'm so blessed and happy that I could do this in fabulous Las Vegas. It's the best city in the world. I love Las Vegas.
And did you ever feel like you have achieved some success here that you couldn't have achieved in, say, Detroit?
Yes, absolutely. I get to play here so many nights a week. It's amazing. In Detroit, it was more of an original scene. So it was it's a different scene. And I moved here so I can play music many days a week, as many as I want.
Interesting. And so your legends growing up, I would imagine Pat Benatar had to be in there somewhere.
Oh my God, yes.
And then who the Hart Sisters?
Of
course, the Hart Sisters.
And some of the girl musicians from the 80s, Vixen, Joan Jett.
Oh my gosh.
The
takes
ones that
me
were
back.
out there,
Vixen.
Oh yeah,
wow.
Vixen.
I met Lita Ford here in Vegas. Have you met Lita Ford yet?
I have not met her personally. But a friend of mine was her, one of her touring managers, I believe he was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I haven't met her. One of my bands opened up for her at Vamped one of the years, a few years ago. Nice one, huh?
Yeah. So let's make the world a better place. I'm going to ask you some questions. These are International Women's Day questions that I'm literally making up right on the spot. But no, anyway, these are questions that were sent in by our listeners. No. Anyway, I'm going to ask you some questions that I think only a woman could answer these questions. And since it's International Women's Month and you are an international woman, here we go. First question is, how do you feel about the trend in movies and television nowadays to include more women in the subplots, even in movies like you see Superman, Batman, and all of a sudden you see the women are getting more of a forefront. Even in Thor now is a woman Thor. The Wakanda Forever has now a woman Black Panther character instead of a man. Do you have any feeling on that?
I think it's about time.
Uh-oh.
I think it's about time. Women are strong, courageous, and they need to be out there more. And there needs to be more idols for the young girls growing up. I think it's awesome.
I agree with you. I also disagree. You can tell I'm taking my I agree, but I disagree. But I do agree. Okay, let me tell you why I agree. I agree because I think what you said is right. I think it is time. I think if we'd have started with this philosophy, we never would have had to fix it. Like, we should have always been inclusive. It's just like now that you see more Black actors working, some white person might say, well, gosh, they got all these Black people in these things now. Well, really, we should have done it from the beginning. And then it wouldn't be a big deal.
You know what? We're a world of many different people.
Right.
And so all of us should have representation and, live your dream, go for it. And we should have idols like that, that children as growing up look up to. Humans are very diverse. So I love what's going on in the movies and the music and more women out there.
Yes. Now, let me tell you the part I didn't agree with, though. Okay, let's just get that out there right off the table.
All right,
So,
you go.
no, the only part I didn't agree with, it wasn't really so much about what you said, but it was just about the fact that, yeah, it is good to be very inclusive and bring people in, but not when it doesn't make sense to the story. Like if you're going to have a historical drama set in Middle Earth, like Lord of the Rings, there weren't any black people back then in that part of the country at all. So it's kind of weird to see like the prince be a black guy. I understand that you want to make that statement that we're including everybody, but it is kind of weird. And it's really weird to see a woman who's 98 pounds fight men in an action flick. And these men are 240-pound, muscle-bound assassins or mercenaries, and she's just going through them like it's nothing. Like she's, you know what I'm saying? So that.
But it's, I mean, I'm not familiar with that movie, but isn't it more of a fantasy and that? So that's different. It's like reading a book. You know, you can read fictional books and made up stories.
Wait, you can read books?
I love.
What in
Actually,
the world?
I love
the
reading.
the devil, you talking woman? What are you talking about? Reading books?
Oh yeah.
Who reads books anymore?
I'm a fanatical book reader. Yes. That's another one of my passions. I love reading.
Read them? I thought they were just anyway.
You mean audiobooks nowadays?
I don't
Do you
know
know
anything
what? People
about a
don't
book
read
anymore.
I think they're more into
People
the
don't
audiobooks.
even write anymore. They type.
True.
Nobody
You're
writes.
Right.
Who
it's
writes?
Weird, right? You know, I haven't written so long that you forget how to write. Because
Who even
we're
owns a
typing.
pencil?
You're right.
I bet we'd be hard pressed to find an internet. That's what casinos should do. They should like be like, hey, welcome to the casino. Automatic jackpot if you've got a pen in your purse. Right there. That right there, you could win money. Okay, let me ask you another question. So here's another, this is a Women's Day question. What, and you might want to think about this one before you answer.
Okay.
What can men do to make women's life easier, in your opinion? You see how I use this as the serious voice. What? Okay. What can men do to make women's lives easier?
Support them, encourage them, be there for them. Instead of competition, just support them.
You feel
Be
there's a lot of
kind.
competition? Like, are
Be
men actually
kind.
competing with women?
Well, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes.
I think in the
But
workplace.
it's different. You know, a man's role is different from a woman's role. You know, it's but I just think they should be supportive, and we should support each other, and vice versa.
You feel the same way about gender equality? You feel like gay men, gay
Absolutely.
women,
Yes,
everybody
absolutely.
should
We're-
get
You know
equal
what? We're
misery.
on this earth to have our own story, to create our own story, live our dream. So we should support each other. Absolutely.
Interesting. And I agree. I agree with that. Whether I agree or not, these are your opinions, so
They
it doesn't
are.
matter. I don't have to agree to them, but I do agree. I think you're
we-
sharp.
We're a blip on this earth, this rock in the middle of this universe. We should enjoy this life and live it with passion and support each other. And I say go for it. If you have a dream, go for it. We're only here once. Let's do it.
Right on. And let me ask you, I'm going to ask you one more women's only question, women's style question. What is the challenge in this society about being a woman? At some point, when I was a young man, I realized that I was athletic and I was intelligent. I was a smart kid. But I also realized that I was black, and in America, there were going to be certain things that were not going to be options for me as a black American male, right? So I had to learn how to go through my life not as just a male, not as just a Midwestern male, but also with this whole stigma of being, well, you're black, so there's going to be this, there's going to be that. Now, it was a different world. You got to remember, I'm 55 now. When I was 18, the world was a completely different place. When my mother was 18, the world was an even more different place.
Right.
So now we find ourselves in 2023, the world is a different place.
It is,
but
especially after COVID, too.
Yeah, it totally is. But my question then still remains the same. So what for you have been the challenges that you've had to overcome that you know came with, boom, you're a woman?
and a guitar player. Well, I'll tell you, evolving and as the years passed, I didn't at some points have as many gigs.
Oh,
It
interesting.
wasn't as woman friendly, and a lot of times in the earlier years, I would get, "Oh, is she really playing?"
Right,
And
right.
I've been playing for years. I've been playing since I was a child.
Like you would go through the hassle of standing up on a stage with a
Right.
guitar that's not plugged in or
And
something
I got
and move your
yes.
fingers.
I have to tell you that there was years of this.
Wow.
Really years of
Wow.
this. And when I play, I don't have to look at my guitar because I've been playing so long and you
Yeah.
feel the music. So I know where the chords are, I know where the frets are without looking at my guitar. So people would be like, "Oh, she's really not playing. Look at her. She's not looking at her guitar." Or they'd be earlier in Vegas when I started here, and the stages aren't too high, so people would come up and try to touch my
Oh,
guitar.
no.
I
Are you
swear
serious?
To you. Oh yes, every night they would come up and try to touch it in time.
Because they wanted the proof.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that thing on?
proof.
Is it on?
He's not really driving the bus.
Yeah.
He's not really flying the plane.
Yeah.
Right. I get it.
So
I get it.
honestly, there's been years of that.
That's nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and really, I will say that just recently, within the last, I don't know, 5 years, and especially after COVID, I don't know if the world changed, and to me, it's been a better world right now because there are more opportunities for women, and I don't get that anymore. I don't get, "Oh my God, is she playing? Is she really?" I haven't gotten that recently. I've gotten, "Oh my God, she's really, like I am playing," and I don't have to explain myself.
Have you ever had words that offend you? Like, like sometimes we refer to women as babes or chicks or gals. And same, sometimes they call grown men dudes. But do any of those words, have they like offended you, like to be a chick in a band? Or they say, "Oh,
No.
the gal and the guitar gal," or anything like that. And sometimes the actors get pissed off because they
Right.
go, "Well, I'm an actor. I'm a female, but I'm an actor. I'm not an actress."
Yeah.
Any more than a doctor would be a doctress. Don't put
Right.
that stress on me,
Right.
man.
No, you know what? No, it doesn't bother me. And then earlier, when people would be like, "Oh, is she really playing?" I'd honestly have to tune it out because
so
I
nuts.
would have given up guitar years ago if I would have listened to what people would tell me, or it's discouraging when they're like, "Oh, she's not really playing." No matter what I would do a solo, and they'd still be like, "She's faking it."
Right, right.
So I would have to literally tune all that out and keep following my heart and keep going. And maybe times back then I didn't have as many gigs because the guys got the gigs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would just put that away, and those points I would just work on my original music more, work in my studio more, and things
Yeah.
like that. And then things turn around. So really, it's an up and down. So sometimes there are more gigs, sometimes less. But before, I will say it was definitely harder because of that.
And I was going to say, too, like, I realized one day that it shouldn't matter, but it did matter. Somebody told me, "Oh, Michael Jackson's got a girl playing guitar with him." And this was, of course, the great
That was the best thing
Jennifer,
ever.
Jennifer Batten.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
And I was like, I don't know why that shocked me, but then when I thought about it, I was like, that really doesn't. It shouldn't shock you. What's the big deal? I mean, if you wouldn't say,
Right.
you wouldn't say, "Oh, he's got a girl flute player," and you'd
Right,
be like, "Oh my God."
exactly.
Now, have you ever noticed that there's certain instruments that are relegated, like these are
Yes.
girls' instruments and these are guys'
Right.
instruments?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, you're totally right. For example, like I think the violin, a woman playing a violin, seems to be more acceptable.
Although, now I know a really great cellist. You probably know Mariko as well, or you probably have worked
Oh
with her.
yeah, yes.
Oh,
sounds
she's
familiar.
amazing,
Yeah.
isn't she? Anyway, Mariko does a show. She does a show several places, but she does a show at the Ghost Bar. If you haven't, Marika, I want to say it's Mariko Murakuna, I think is how you say her last name. But anyway,
I think
she's.
I might have played a gig with her at some point, like years
Oh,
ago.
I'm sure you do. You do
Yeah.
big gigs.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She just got off tour with Madonna. I mean, she's She's a killer. But anyway, she does a thing where she plays her cello, which is a big instrument, and she's a tiny lady, right? She's a Japanese lady. She's a tiny lady. She got this instrument's bigger than her. And when she does her show, she's got to wear this like sexy dress, and they put her on stage. They have the wind blowing her hair, so it's like hair blowing. It's a whole
it's
like
a show,
fantasy thing.
Of course, and that's what they do. Yeah.
But they wouldn't do that for a guy, you think? Like, because I've seen male cello players, and they don't do all that, like
that's
wind in the hair and all that kind of stuff. And when she plays, she has to take her bow and like kind of like it's really hard to, like it's sexy. It's a sexy thing. But
it's
a
show. It's a produced show. So it depends what the show is. Sometimes I've had show where they say, "Oh, you're gonna wear heeled boots. Can you play leads in heeled boots and things?" So it depends how produced the show is.
Right. Have you ever been put on with something that you felt like was too sexual for your taste as a musician? If they say, okay, so here's where I'm going with this. So a friend of mine is a dancer. He's a male dancer in L.A., and he danced with Prince. Okay. And
awesome.
And he said when the stylist or the costume, whoever was working behind the scenes with Prince, they came in for all the dancers. She literally had a shoebox, and she was like, "Okay, these are your costumes for the night." And of course, it's Prince, so the costumes were like dental floss, basically. So I mean, he didn't feel weird about it because he knew Prince it's Prince. It's Prince's reputation. Right. This is Prince's type of thing, so it is what it is. But I always wondered about that because, like, when I have had bands, I was always the singer in the band, and I never asked my musicians to do anything except just wear black. Let's have at least that uniformity that everybody's wearing black. But I always wondered, like, in the big professional shows, because I never did those shows, in a big professional show, had you ever been put on with something that you were like, really, man?
I've had to go through some costumes, and really a lot of the costumes, that I personally had to deal with, I just had to make sure I could play the guitar. So I haven't, all the costumes have been great. And some of them are, they can be a little skimpy, but I guess it's show business and I'm used to it. Because women dress up anyways, and sometimes we like to be a little sexy, so I'm kind of used to it. But I haven't had anything that was outrageous, no. And if anything did come up, I know I would say, well, I can't play guitar in this or it's going to pop out or something.
Right.
I did a show a few years ago. It was kind of like part of the Cirque du Soleil crew, and they had this beautiful show. And the costume had a bunch of fringe on it. So I told him I can't play because it's going to get in my strings.
Yeah.
So things like that. But I mean, I've been playing in entertainment, and it's kind of like that. And you want to be kind of fun and sexy and different on stage. So, I haven't had any issues with that really.
Last Women's Day question, which kind of ties into your career as well. We've seen in this last couple of years, around the pandemic, a little bit before the pandemic, but definitely after the pandemic, we're seeing a lot of more Skin is Okay. A lot more women are crafting songs like Ariana Grande and Dua Lipa, Doja Cat, Megan Thee Stallion. They're big stars because they're so controversial and so sexy, and they're okay talking about sex and dropping the F-bomb in the middle of the songs and things like that. So my question for you as a woman, do you ever feel like you have to compete with that to be successful? Do you ever feel like, oh my gosh, they're wearing mini skirts that short now? Okay, well then let me get one because right? Or is that not a thing?
No, you know what? I think for me, it's more about individuality. So I'm going to do what I feel comfortable in and how I want to present myself. And for those girls, go for it. If that's, the image that you'd like and that's you, that's fine. I'm just more about individuality, and I'm going to do what feels right for me. So I'm not really competing with them. I'm just want to rock. It's got to be good for me playing on stage with my guitar, and I got to feel comfortable. But no, I don't feel like I have to compete with them. I think it's just about individuality and what works for you. Put yourself out there as you want to create that image.
Amen to that. I
Yeah.
can't close the show stronger than that. Although we did get a tasty treat of you playing guitar, which was fabulous. And please, how do we reach you on the social media if we want to be fans? We want to kind of be stalkers, but not so much in your bushes. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what do we need to do next?
Sure. I'm on Facebook, Eva KARCZEWSKA. Just look me up. You can friend me. Yes. And also on Instagram as well, Eva KARCZEWSKA on Instagram as well. I do have a website, www.evaguitar.com. You can send me a message through there as well.
I'm sure that people have told you this before, but the Eva KARCZEWSKA vibe is kind of like the James Bond girl. That's such a James Bond girl name, but it's not the girl that's the dangerous one. Eva KARCZEWSKA sounds like the girl he's trying to save. Like they give him the mission and they go, this is your subject, Eva KARCZEWSKA. She's a guitar player in Las Vegas.
I love it.
Find her, James, and save her from Blofeld. And that's kind of the thing. Hey man, Ace Micheals show today. Me just sitting on the microphone talking a bunch of crap. That's my life. And if you ever want to be on the show, we'd love to have you. We would love to have you. Love. I use the L word because it's true. And that is what's up. Listen, live the life you love, folks.